Hi everyone, Derived Energy. Today I will be reading from a page on the Church of Euthanasia website. And this article is called Man's Subliminal God, written by a Hermias Purbuckets. That's surely a pseudonym. So I'm just going to pick some parts of this article out and discuss it. Okay, introduction. The tragedy, the true catastrophe is that humanity continues. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously this is what antinatalists think, and yeah, obviously the longer humanity continues, the more suffering people will be created. Anyway, that was a quote by Louis Wolfson, so I'll continue. Somewhere along the line, man got the notion that he and his life were essentially positive manifestations of phenomena. Perhaps faced with the elemental void of death, primitive man turned to his immediate experience and clung to it for dear life. Perhaps in lieu of any abiding reason or causality, man simply felt himself justified to be. With the inevitable momentum of procreation, each subsequent generation was coddled or bludgeoned into adapting the affirmative stance of their ancestors. Yeah, I mean, it's like from the moment a child is born, it's like, oh, look at that, oh, look how fantastic that is, oh, look, and, children's cartoons, oh, look at Skippy is happy, it's like systematic brainwashing. And if a child expresses distaste for some aspects of existence, the parents come down on the child hard. They know, they say like, oh no, you mustn't grumble, don't grumble, you go to bed now. It's kind of taking a heavy hand, as it were, and bludgeoning their children into accepting a positive stance on life, because if you adopt a negative stance towards life, then you're persecuted by those around you. Anyway, continuing on, with the man, even primitive man, has tended to take life for granted. Death was the unnatural thing, the result of malice or mistake, the after message of the gods, or in the Christian world, the result of the fall from the garden. Yeah, death is just as natural as life is. In fact, every single thing is natural, So even drawing a distinction between, say, a man-made disaster and a natural disaster is kind of misleading, because everything is natural. Anyway, scientific man now sees that death is the most natural thing in the world. He compulsively examines the inherent biological customs of innumerable flora and fauna and chronicles in rapt fascination his own dreary natural cycles. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people are just fascinated by life, but if you just distill everything down, birth, reproduction, death, birth, reproduction, death. I mean, it's been done, trillions and trillions and trillions of times for all species, and billions and billions and billions of times for human beings. I mean, can't these de-animated zombies get enough of reproducing? Can't they just get out of their system once and for all? Curiously, though, as man's season becomes more problematic, stalked from within and without by environmental decay and psychological breakdown, he rarely considers his own death as a viable alternative to an existence devoid of meaning or rescue. Yeah, the environmental decay, it's quite clear that, we're in the middle of incredible environmental degradation. And yeah, there's a constant strain on people's psychology as they have to continually rationalize life, and it's very tiring and fatiguing. Anyway, contrarily, man seems obsessed with clinging to life at all costs. We can see that with the euthanasia debate. You know, we've got to wring every single last sentient moment out of every single living human being. It's really sick and perverse. Greedily devouring all resources within reach. I mean, can there be any debate about this? Can there be any room for disagreement here about about the fact that this is what is going on in the planet right now? And pumping out as many clones of himself as possible. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a human population. It says 7,031,729,490, 500, 503, 505, 508, 510. I mean, it is just completely like an out of control virus. The way it's just exponentially, you know, increasing like that. There's no rhyme or reason to it all. It's just rutting human animals, just mindlessly creating and increasing the amount of deprivation and suffering that is being experienced on this planet because of some stupid damn DNA molecule. Anyway, I like this analogy. Some, however, have seen the runaway essence of the whole damn thing. You are among the many passengers of a large bus, careening wildly down a twisted mountain road. The bus is being driven by a drunk who is half blind. He and those near the front are also suffering from some sort of intoxication from gaseous emissions. They are also drinking. It is night. Not even the moon is out to provide lighting. The main lights of the bus are broken from near brushes with the steadily deteriorating old guardrails that are the only thing between the bus and a 2,500-foot plunge off a sheer face cliff. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm in a bus crammed with, you know, mentally insane people, and you know they're just driving wildly and intoxicated by life, and they're just unable to appreciate the magnitude and the horror and the harm that is going to occur on this planet. You know, that's like what the human endeavor is like. You know, as we just blindly just strive forwards to our inevitable extinction. This allegory illuminates the predicament of an enlightened creature. This allegory illuminates the predicament an enlightened creature encounters when waking one day to find himself woefully alive. Its author, a suicide, sees that the true remedy to this hapless traveller's woes is the one thing that is taboo. You want to stop the bus and get out, but you cannot. To no one else has it occurred to stop the bus. And it seems that those in favour of speeding up the bus are gaining the upper hand. Yeah, I mean, we could just gracefully and in a dignified manner just stop the bus, just stop procreating. But unless people stop the bus, then the bus is going to be driven off the sheer face cliff. Indeed, not only is death ignored as the way out, but man makes the very thought of it a crime, substituting instead a barrage of neurotic, insular, and wholly insupportable life affirmations. Yeah, I mean, it is like a thought crime to profess a desire to die, or even often just to think about death. You know, oh, what you been doing? I've been thinking about death. You know, that people are like, what? You know, it's a thought crime. Anyway, I'll stop there for this bit. Okay, he writes about distraction. This is an interesting little bit that he writes here. Distraction. One of the most subversive effects of anxiety is that it makes creative and logical thinking harder for the already defective thinker. For man to assess his situation intelligently, he would need space to think and a safe environment to do so. Man, at root not wanting he or his fellows to think clearly about his predicament, has always made sure that his cultural environment was one of distraction, compulsion, and stress. to keep him on a course of mass think and group-oriented competition. Yeah, I mean, if we look at societies, yeah, they continually distract us with, the media and different sporting events and different political debates and different pop culture, and it's keeping us informed about the news and education. All these issues is like it never slows down. I think what should happen is everybody should, for 10 minutes every day, they should sit down in in silence, and they should just contemplate the human condition, in large groups of people. Yeah, everyone should just sit down and ruminate on the human condition, death and extinction. um, I think there would be more clear thinking instead of all this just distracting people from looking at the big picture here. Yeah, and stress. Yeah, it's uh, human beings are kept in a constant state of stress. They, work 9 to 5, and then the family and raising a family, traveling to work. You come home, you're tired. Then you've got, to do housework and cooking and food and the work, and then when you're not working, you're trying to unwind, and you're trying to, keep yourself entertained. So it's like, there's no time for people just to stop and think. Well, there is time, but people don't use that time to contemplate philosophy because they're bipedal primates. Society instills anxiety in its captives in many ways. Overpopulation leads to crowding and increased competition, thus promoting fear, anger, and alienation. Yeah, I mean, this is like what London is like. The more people there are, all crammed into one space, the more feelings of fear and anger and alienation there are. People become suspicious of others, tempers flare up,